So what do you say we spend a little time in the garden today? All right, all right, all right. Today we're going to be working in this little 30 by 35 plot behind me here. We're going to be doing a little picking and going to be doing a little planting. This plot was looking pretty rough after that first frost we had towards the end of November, where it had all that ice on the leaves, but has since recovered, kind of got acclimated to these crazy South Georgia winter temperatures where it can be 40 in the morning and 70 in the afternoon. It's gotten good and acclimated. Everything's looking pretty good now. Gonna do a little harvest in there. Gonna plant some open spaces we have in there. So let's take a look at what we got and then get going. So a couple videos ago we scratched around in these two double rows of carrots right here and saw that some of them are getting close to being eating size. They're not near the size they'll be when we harvest them all finally, but we can scratch around and pull a few and eat some here and there. But those are kicking along good, doing their thing. And we've got our Blue Ridge kale here. We've been eating a good bit of this, just pulling off a couple leaves of each plant at a time. And this stuff here is holding up really well. Seems to take the frost really well since it's been acclimated. We've got our lacinato kale here. Took a little bit of damage on a frost we had a week or so ago. Probably need to come in and harvest this, get rid of some of those bad leaves and get the good leaves off there. Time to gather a little bit of that for a little side dish. Got our top bunch 2.0 collards. We're gonna pick a mess of those here in a minute. Here we got our Brussels sprouts, our Jade Cross, and our Catskill Brussels sprouts. And we're starting to get some sprout formation here. You can see in there, we got some little sprouts coming along. Still a ways to go on those guys. These Brussels sprouts will certainly test your patience. Well, looks like we're gonna get a harvest eventually. Here we have, what was our row of herbs? Still got garlic chives. Man, this cilantro is looking awesome. We've been picking some of this, but that's a heap of cilantro there, just about, I don't know, 7 row feet or so. And it's a lot of it. This stuff grows well down here this time of year, and just really, really nice to have that in the garden. Here is a spot we're gonna be planting a little later where we had our basil. It didn't make it through the cold temps even though we covered it, so we're gonna be putting something else right there. Then right here we've got our all-top turnips that we transplanted, and these are hanging in there. That's about all we can say. They're hanging in there. They're not as cold tolerant as some of that kale is, and these little frosts we get every couple weeks or so will burn back some of those leaves, but there are some harvestable leaves in there. Probably need to come in here and clean this up the next day or so. And then on the end here we've got another blank spot. We had direct seeded some rutabagas in here, and they came up, but they didn't make it through that first frost. So we're gonna put something else here and hope for better luck this time. Now, I don't know if this is just a southern thing or not, but around here on New Year's Day, you always gotta have collard greens and you always gotta have black-eyed peas. So I don't have any black-eyed peas growing in the garden, but I got some collard greens, as I showed you. So we wanna make sure we cook us a nice big old pot of collard greens with some hog jows in there for New Year's Day. And let me know out there, what are your New Year's Day traditional foods to eat? Is the collard green thing kind of across the country, or is that just a southern thing? Let me know what dishes you have to have on New Year's Day. Now, these leaves aren't as big as they will get. These is kind of like harvesting baby collard greens. So we're just gonna get the biggest ones off of here, leave those guys there on there. I always want to leave a few leaves at the top so they can continue producing. We'll just get these big ones off the side, and it might not hurt to give these guys a little fertilizer this afternoon after we get done doing all we're gonna do in this plot here. But we should be able to get us a nice little decent mess for my family, at least for New Year's. All right, so we got 2 bags and a handful here, which should be plenty for us. My kitchen is not really conducive to filming. It's kind of small. Or I'll show you guys how I cook these things, but I can at least tell you. So what we do is we strip the stems off, cut them up in little slivers. I'll get me a big cast iron enamel pot, put my hog jowls or whatever kind of pork you want to put in there, get that pot real hot, put it in there, and let some of that grease kind of render out from that pork meat there. And then we'll just start adding these guys in there and let them wilt down. We don't add any water initially, we don't boil them initially, kind of like fry them initially. Let them all wilt down in there, and then once they're all wilted down in the pot, if we need to add a little bit of water, we will. But I like to let the pork fat or bacon grease or whatever I'm using kind of really impart the flavor to these guys initially. Then we'll put a little bit of water in there and just kind of let them simmer till they're tender. All right, so we got the picking part done. Now it's time for the planting part. So as I showed you earlier, we've got these two little spots here to plant today. We've got probably 2/3 of a row here where we had that Italian basil and Thai basil. I just came in here once those plants were dead and just pulled them all up real quick, kind of shook the soil off of them. So our drip tape is still there, it's still buried, and we're going to plant a double row. We're going to plant on both sides of that buried tape right there. And then this spot here where we had those rutabaga seedlings that were just kind of stunted, we need a little bit of cultivation here because I had a few little weeds popping up there. So I ripped up this entire line of tape, or just pulled it up really easy, left it connected right there, came here with a wheel hoe, made one pass through there. So we'll need to rebury this line of tape before we're planting. That one over there is going to be just fine. Now I mentioned to you earlier that we are probably going to fertilize most of this stuff later today. I'm going to shoot some 20-20-20 and some micro boosts through that drip system. But we certainly don't want to fertilize where we're planting these seeds here. So in order to keep fertilizer from running through this drip line here when I fertilize everything else, I'm going to need to put a valve right here. Pull that out. So I'm going to use one of our row start valves as opposed to just a simple row start, which lets everything pass through there. We're just going to change our drip system up a little bit here. Put this row start valve on there. Get that on there nice and tight. Stick that back into the main line. I'll turn that valve off there. And once we plant these seeds, we'll just hand water these two rows that we're going to be putting seeds in. And then the rest of these can be fed by that fertilizer injector. Since these lines are off, there's nothing going to be going through here. So we did the same thing right here with this other line that we had to rebury. We replaced that simple row start with a row start valve there. I didn't turn that valve off yet because I need to turn it on just for a second to inflate that line to rebury it properly, and then we'll turn that valve off. Getting a little hot out here today. I'm gonna have to come up out this long sleeve shirt here in a minute. It's mighty warm for about to be New Year's Day here in South Georgia, but it's time to plant. We got our drip tape buried on that one row with our wheel hose there. We got two little mini furrows we can plant our double row on. For that other row where the tape was already buried, I just took my little triangle hoe, kind of scratched me out two little planting furrows there. Now, normally I don't direct seed anything in the middle of winter. Usually in the past, if I'm planting anything this time of year, it's planting it from transplants. I work from home a good bit now, so I don't have access to Dad's greenhouse, so I don't have any plants ready to go in the ground, so we're gonna go for direct seeding. We've got a little spell here. Forecast looks like for the next 3 or 4 days, it's supposed to be relatively warm like it is today. It's supposed to get some rain, so I think I can get these seeds up. So today we're gonna be planting some beets, and we're going to be planting some spinach. Let's talk about beets first. So with beets, almost all beet varieties are what they call multi-germ seeds. And this means each seed that you plant is going to produce 2 or 3 little plants. And as a result, the beets kind of are crowded in there when they grow up and mature. Now this is not a big problem if you're not going for a uniform size. Now when we used to sell a lot of our beets, I wanted big, uniformly sized beets. So I would start them off from transplants, and in those trays I would thin them out to 1 plant per cell. Plant them that way and get nice, real big, uniform sized beets. In this case, since I'm not selling them anymore, I don't really care as much. You know, if I get little beets, that's fine. Some big beets, that's fine. I kind of want to grow these to mainly pickle some, and so I'm not necessarily concerned about having real big, you know, tennis ball sized beets. So I'm planting a variety called Vulture, which is a new variety we added this year, and this is a cylindrical beet. Doesn't get quite as long as a traditional cylindra beet, but it's supposed to have better flavor than cylindra. So we're going to give that a try. That's what we're going to plant on this full row here. We're going to plant a double row of these Vulture beets here. And then we're going to go with some spinach. Planting a variety called Avenger here. And I haven't grown spinach in a long time. I think I grew some the first year we were on this place, this homestead here, but I haven't grown it since. And I don't really know why, but I like to eat spinach, and so we're going to give it a try, and we're going to plant this on that little 2/3 of a row that we have. Now what I do know about spinach is it doesn't like warm soil temps as far as germination. It really doesn't germinate well in anything above, you know, 70 degrees. So our temperature should be just about right to get some pretty good germination on this spinach here, and that's why I am direct seeding that. I don't know if anybody, maybe some people transplant spinach out there, but I think this is something that probably does better direct seeding all the time. As far as the beets go, we've had really good success transplanting beets in the past. Highly recommend it if you want big uniform beets, but if that doesn't matter as much, you can direct seed them like we're going to do today. So I've got a 1/4 pound of these Vulture beets here. I figured I was going to need more than a seed packet, which is 350 seeds. Doubt I'll use the whole 1/4 pound. We're just going to take these guys and kind of sprinkle them kind of liberally a little bit. We can always thin them out if we have to, on both sides of that drip tape there, and just kind of work our way down the row. Same thing with the spinach here. I figured I was going to need more than just a seed packet, so I got a 1/4 pound here. And same thing as with the beets. We got a double row. I'm just going to plant them thick along there. I like a thick, dense row here when I'm planting double rows of stuff like this, so that foliage can kind of cover up that gap right there, get some nice weed suppression in the middle. Then we just take our rake, lightly cover them up, tamp them down. We should be good to go. And even though we're supposed to get some rain in the morning, I'm gonna go ahead and water these guys in a little bit, kind of get them seeds seeded in the soil well, so if it does rain abnormally hard, it doesn't wash everything away. Really like this unit right here. We carry these on the site. This little dram fan nozzle works perfect for hand watering, you know, just a row or two at a time like this. Gives you a nice even water distribution. So we're gonna water these guys in, and then let the rain do its thing, and let these next few days of warm temps do their thing, hopefully, and should get some decent germination considering those factors. So hopefully for all you guys out there that have a winter garden planted, hopefully it's hanging in there well. You're getting some decent little harvest, some nice little New Year's fare from your garden. Don't forget to let me know out there what your favorite New Year's food is, especially those that come right from your garden. I'll put some links below to all the seeds and tools we use today, so you can head on over to the website and pick up some of those. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give me a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and ring that bell so you get notified every time we come out with a new video. And if you did enjoy this one, check out these other 2 videos right here. I think you'll really enjoy those as well. We'll see you next time.